welcome to the Terri Mitchell Show. I'm your host, Karita Chones-Aguam, and of course with Coach Mitchell. This is our final show, but so much to talk about today.
It's a good show because we have a lot of great things to cover.
Including NCAA tournament. But before we get to all that, just want to give everybody an overview of the season. You've had a wonderful season, 23-8. Who'd have thought that coming into this season? A lot of it has to do with your seniors, which we'll talk about, but just give us an overall impression of you sitting right here. How did this season go, not including postseason right now?
It's just been tremendous because we talked about this probably last April, that we were going to be different, and you present it to the team and you talk about it, but obviously as a coach, they have to do it then. The team has to take it and they have to believe it. And what I love about this senior group is that they decided that, you know what, we will be different. We want to go to the NCAAs, and we will. And it's one thing to talk it. Everyone talks it. Every program in the country talks about going to the NCAAs. I mean, that's what it's all about. But are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to do what it takes? And you had to take that mentality into the summer because so many programs think, we'll get our work done in September. Your best work and who you are is in the summer, because you're establishing discipline, hard work, unity, pulling each other up and saying, you know what, get in the gym, do extra, shoot, whatever it needs to. You develop that culture, then that culture is taken into September. Now you have the coaches around you, and we continue that culture. And, you know, I can't say I'm not surprised. Did I know we were going to have 23 wins? I had no idea. But I believed with all my heart we were going to be back in the NCAAs because of those seniors and because what they were imparting to the younger players.
Now, along with those seniors, was there anything else special about this squad, maybe with some of the younger people that you brought in that honestly learned their roles throughout the season? You know, folks that may have thought they'd play more, didn't as towards the end of the season, but something clicked, and it clicked really good for this team.
I think the thing that was magical is that there was superstars on our team. There were people rising up like a Jasmine Collins, who for 3 years nobody was even talking about JC. And then now here she is, and she's leading scorer in so many games. The things that Tatiana did, and just all of her scoring. I mean, not just scoring, but has to be a focus of the opponent. It makes second team all Big East. Right. When no honors before that, just someone that said, you know what, I'm going to be different. And so opponents playing us going, who they know Angel Robinson, but now Angel doesn't have that pressure on her to say, hey, I have to do it all, or trying to do it all when she doesn't have to. She's always different people. Courtney Weibel breaking the three-point shooting record. Paige playing at her best. And I know I'm mentioning seniors, but then you had the younger players who had their moments. You know, Serena Simmons having her moments, and Gabby hitting a big three at Georgetown when the game was on the line. All those things, but you know that comes because of what's going on off the court. If our team's not united, then they come on the court, they're going to bring stuff, and you're not going to win. So really, I look at what the magic of the season was, is how this group off the court, how they talked in the locker room, how they continue to talk about winning. Karita, we had some practices in October where we just fought. It was like, you know what? We're going to stay with this drill until we get this drill right, or you didn't touch the line and they're dog tired and you say, no, you're going to do it again. And then you had captains, Paige, Angel, and Tati, saying, you know what, that's exactly what we're going to do. They didn't fight the coaches. And because they didn't fight it and said, this is what we need to do, you look back and say, oh, man, October was a tough month. But look at the fruit of it. Right. That legacy is being passed on. Now those players who are returning, one junior and a few sophomores with a bunch of freshmen next year, are going to say, we know how those guys did it. We're going to do it that way because these freshmen are going to have to understand it's going to take a while, but when we get it, it's magical.
Well, that formula obviously was magical early. You had big wins over Green Bay, who's been a tough opponent historically. And then talk a little about that Sun and Fun Classic where before you went, I wasn't sure. I mean, in Miami, it's tough to keep that focus, but the team did that with big wins over La Tech and Florida International.
It's great wins because you are in a different part of the country. We're trying to give our program exposure going down to Miami, and it's warm. Yes, so, you know, nice. We're going to the Virgin Islands next year. Right. So don't we want to do a TV show in the Virgin Islands?
I think we should. I think it'd be best.
I mean, just to be right
from
there.
From the beach,
yes,
I think
right
it's
there.
Best, yeah.
So you're down in Miami, and obviously you can lose focus, and to have that kind of focus to win 2 great games. Talked about Green Bay. Their only loss is against Marquette. You know, the media talks a lot about all their winning streak, and I'm like, yeah, we did well against them, but they're having a fantastic season. Yeah. But it was great to get that win. 3 wins we had against the Big Ten. Which is obviously we're right in that Big Ten country. We always want to play Big Ten teams because I think it's great for the RPI, great for just conference rivalries. And then in conference, I mean, you have 8 teams that were ranked all year. You beat St. John's on the last second shot, which was just magical. You beat DePaul at your place on senior night. I told our team, if we can capture that focus and energy, I believe you could go do great things in the NCAA tournament because I just knew we were going to win. I mean, I knew we were going to win before we even got out of the locker room because you could touch it, you could feel it. There was something that you just knew this day was going to be different. West Virginia, when they were ranked 5th or 6th in the country, even though I wasn't there for most of the game in the second half, but the team took over. Georgetown at their place in overtime. I mean, so many signature wins, but that's a team, and we don't blow people out, and we don't get blown out. We are going to fight to the very end. We said this, we're hungry and we're humble. We're never going to think we've arrived, but we're going to stay hungry, and that's the attitude going to the NCAA tournament that's going to get us that victory on Saturday.
How do you think your games out of season helped your hunger when it got to Big East? Like you said, the big wins you had over West Virginia, over DePaul, it's grown. I mean, we weren't as good, maybe as tough at the beginning of the season, but those out-of-conference wins really helped the confidence and the hunger of the team.
It did because, first of all, we were willing to travel, so we went out to Vermont. Who was in the NCAA tournament last year. And granted, they didn't have the great year, but you know what, you're getting on a plane, you're traveling several hours. That's what you do in the Big East, so we're getting used to travel. You go down to Miami, a different region of the country, and you're getting used to exposing your name and putting it out there. Obviously, you have Green Bay will return there next year. You play at Wisconsin, you have Illinois, Michigan at home. You're getting the top, Power 6 conferences to play. All those nuggets are extremely important. And even we took a loss at Creighton, our only loss in the non-conference, but it woke us up. Hey, we weren't as mentally focused as we needed to be as a team. And we all hate to lose, but as long as you grow from that loss and you take that in and say, okay, we took one early, we lost to Creighton. It was not a bad team. I mean, they're playing in the NIT. I thought they were definitely on the cusp of the NCAAs. It's not a bad loss, but you take that and you take it into Big East play.
Now, you talked about the DePaul win, which I think was a huge win and a huge boost for the squad heading into the conference tournament. Your 22nd senior night win. Was there anything different about that game that really, you talked about the focus in the locker room, but it just seemed like the team came out with a spark, and DePaul had no chance, and they were ranked 7th at the time.
Right. That spark, I think sometimes our team is overeducated. Courtney Weibel is amazing with her stats and stuff, and they were aware of teams they hadn't beaten. Like we played Syracuse and got down towards the end and we got kind of tight. And I heard someone say, that's a team we haven't beaten yet. And sometimes you just want to keep them in the present mode. And I know DePaul, we had lost close. And there was just something in that locker room was like, you know what, that's over. I'm not worried about whether or not we've lost to them and it was close. Today is a new day and we're going to take care of business. And you just felt that our seniors were not going to let anything stand in the way of their special night with their family, their friends, keeping them from a victory and a celebration. And I asked them to capture that going into Saturday. Can you capture that? Because there was something about that everything I said, yep, got it. And the big thing is they never, and not that this team doubts himself, because I wouldn't say that at all. I think they're a confident group, but they really didn't let any of our skeletons get in the way. Like one of the things we get in trouble with is if a team makes a run, we shoot quick to get back at it. We just were on task that entire game, 40 minutes through, and that on-task team shows up in the NCAA tournament, we're going to be hard to beat.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Big East tournament. That confidence continued. We're watching the Terri Mitchell Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Terri Mitchell Show. And Terri, before the break, we kind of overviewed the regular season. We're now into the Big East Conference tournament. You're taking on a Pitt team, a team you beat earlier in the season in overtime. It was a big win. It was a very big win. But, one key thing you mentioned about that game was trust. So talk about that game and how trust played a role.
It's an amazing game. I mean, Pitt came in with a lot of firepower because we went into their house and beat them in overtime. And the way that we got in overtime with Tati's shot with a second left in regulation, it was amazing. So I think they had that motivation. And sometimes, no matter what records are, in the Big East, everyone knows there's new life. So we're coming in. They already played the day before us. And we got in there, and then Angel gets in foul trouble, and we're in a situation where we can't have her out there, and we have to play different individuals. And so Tati's taking the point. Gabby had some really good minutes for us, but different individuals had to step up, and we were down the whole game. And being down that, and you just looked at the players at timeouts, and you just knew we were going to win because they were like, we're going to get it. Now, I wish we would get it earlier, but there's just something about there, like we'll get it when the time comes, and then Tati gets hit, and she's out for a while. And the team just collectively came together and said, we're going to use, I talked about this trust, don't try to be something you're not. Be you. And if everyone will just be you, all of us together can get it done. All of us, it's like the same way I look at my staff. I have a certain amount of talent. Kara has it, Michelle, Ashley, Keisha, everyone that comes together, all of us together cover it. And it's my job as a head coach to hire those people that are going to complement me, because I don't want to be like, oh, I have to always figure it out. I trust the people I work with to give me good wisdom, and I think our players just trust us, and that trust got us the victory we needed. And it's like when we took over, we knew there was no looking back because the momentum went our way. And when Angel did come back in the game, she didn't try to come back in the game and try to do it all on her own. It's like there was a critical time she drove down the lane and she just dished to Jasmine, and Jasmine finished it. And it was good to see that trust of the players with one another in a critical situation.
And talk about the game the next day. You took on Rutgers. First of all, you're playing, game after game after game. Is the team tired, or how do you prep that next game? It was a tough loss against Rutgers for the second time this season.
It was a tough loss. They're a physical team, and I feel in all my heart that we still could have won both games at home and in the tournament. And we just had a 5-minute period where we didn't play well, and we back to that part of they got some scores and we took some quick shots, and it turned into a lead, and then you're fighting to get back, and they use the clock where they're very good at making you play defense the whole time, using the clock and not giving you many opportunities on offense. And we had some shots went in and out. I counted, we had, I believe the count was 12 layups that went in and out that we missed, and they were great shots. You put those shots down, we win that game. So all the credit to Rutgers. They did fantastic, but I don't walk away from either of those games feeling like, wow, they beat us as much as we beat ourselves. That's the reality. You regroup, you come home, take a few days off, and you get ready for the NCAAs, and that's what we did. You always can learn, and you have new life, and we're going to take that energy into the tournament.
Well, speaking of energy and high energy, I had a chance to sit down with one of your seniors, Tatiana McMorris. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Terri Mitchell Show. I had a chance to sit down with senior leader Tatiana McMorris. Take a look. I'm now joined with senior guard Tatiana McMorris. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It does seem like yesterday you and I were talking. You were a little freshman coming in from New York. Talk about your experience here at Marquette over the past 4 years and just what your time here has meant.
Marquette has been great to me. I've loved my experience here, and I'm so thankful that I chose to come to Marquette. Coming over here was a big transition from being from the Bronx, New York, and I've learned a lot. Marquette, the coaching staff, and my teammates have taught me a lot, and I've become a better person and a better woman by coming here.
Now you talk about how you've grown, and we see more so on the court, and girl, have you grown. This year was just an amazing season for you. You received Big East second team all honors. Your confidence level has just seemed to soar. I mean, when you look at your years as a freshman and sophomore, coming in with Angel, she was kind of touted as the point guard, the go-to person, but you've just emerged as a player on the court. Talk a little bit about your confidence and how that's changed, from sophomore, junior, and now to senior year.
It's all about, I think, I put a lot of the work in. My position coach, Kara Consuega, she worked a lot with me in the summer and working on, how I can get myself on the court and how I can be a good contributor to help my team. And we worked a lot over the summer since I've been here, and I think that's just helped me a lot. And I have a lot of confidence now in myself because I feel like, I'm doing something for my team. And my teammates have given me a lot of confidence, and they always tell me to shoot the ball even if, I'm having a bad night. And the coaches always tell me, keep playing defense and keep shooting. So I think with that I have a lot of confidence and stuff. So.
Well, you talk about how your confidence is changing. For young ladies at home listening, obviously that work over the season was learning your role as a guard, but also talk about the importance of working on your shot. I'm assuming, before or after practice you're in the gym. How important and how many shots are you shooting on a given day?
I would think I'm not shooting as much as Courtney Weibel, but I think I'm getting in the gym enough to feel comfortable, and so when I get out on the court, it's just like any other day. And I think I've just been trying to work really, really hard and, fixing my shot and my form and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's got me this far, so I'm just going to continue going into the NCAA tournament, and I hope, I can shoot very well for my team.
Now, academically, this is your senior year. Are you done now? Do you have another year, or what do you plan to do?
Oh, I have another year. I'm an education major, so I'll be student teaching next year. So I have another year to be like a quote-unquote regular student. So it'll be a little weird for me. I'll try to stay in shape and, come back to help out the girls next year. But, yeah, I have another year. So.
All right, well, good luck academically, but good luck next week. We were going to be watching for you guys.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me.
All right, thank you.
One thing I enjoyed about Tatiana was her energy. And she talks about, over her course of the season, her roles have changed, but she really stepped up to play for your squad this year, and you've got to have positive things to talk about with her.
Tons of positive things. Talk about stepping up and someone with true focus, energy. But here's the biggest thing. She has the respect of the team. She has the voice that when she says things, everybody turns and listens. And I'll give you an example. We've come back from the Big East tournament. We've had some practices that, we don't have an opponent's name. It's like, okay, I have 2 weeks of practice. What am I going to do? And I was really getting on the team about, hey, our energy, our focus. And my voice goes so far, and I get it. But she stopped practice. She brought everybody in, and she said it in a way that really spoke to them, and his practice completely changed. Because when it comes peer-to-peer, and you have somebody that's saying it, it's amazing what that happens. And I can tell you that example over and over all year, and that's respect. And there's not a lot of people that have it, and you know that as a player. Sometimes someone can say something to the team's like, you know what, you don't deserve our respect. But when you have someone that brings it day in, day out, knows what she's talking about, has hit the big shots, has been in critical moments, willing to take that on and take the big shot, defend whatever it takes, and has waited her time, and now has it and is taking advantage of it, you're going to follow that voice. And it's a great voice for our younger players to understand what it takes, because you put in the time and energy, then you have the voice. It's not opposite. You don't get the voice first without getting something behind it.
Now, we talked about how she's improved offensively, her game, taking a lot of pressure off of Angel Robinson. And I had a chance to talk to Angel about that too. But how do you think Tatiana has just stepped into that role so easily? That takes a lot to have the green light, which is very nice. I don't know what that is, but to have the green light and have that confidence from the coaches is huge.
Well, it's a responsibility, exactly what you said, and it means you've put the time in on your own to stroke your shot and to do those things, and it just grew. And I think it just happened. It happened with her putting the work in, getting into games, Angel having the confidence, giving her the ball, and her knocking shots down, that it just grew and grew, and then she becomes a focus of your opponent, and then finding different ways to get open, different ways to run her off screen. So it just progressed as the year went on, but it was a fun progression, because if you didn't progress, that means that, well, she wasn't hitting the shots. And to see that so many of my, talking to opposing coaches, they're like, wow, she's been the X factor of your team. And I agree. And, people knew Paige, what she did. Obviously, everyone knew Angel. Everyone knows Courtney Wild was a three-point shooter, but Tati brought in the full game, and I think, been critical in our success, and it's been a lot of fun.
All right. But when we come back, the Golden Eagles go dancing. We'll talk NCAA tournament right after this. Welcome back to the show. Now, this is my favorite part of the show. It's time to talk NCAA tournament. So last week, we were all at the Annex during the selection show. Talk about what a nice turnout that was for the team and for the city.
Oh, it was great. It was great to have the fans come out, season ticket holders, friends, family, everybody. And we always want to open that up and celebrate, March Madness. And to celebrate and to have our players experience that was amazing.
Well, we had a chance to sit down with some of your players after the selection. Here's a look at what they had to say.
The selection committee has been working overtime in Indianapolis to come up with the best teams to fill out the field of 64 for the NCAA Women's Tournament. It starts in Indy, and it will end in Indy with the Final Four. But who goes where? We'll tell you next on the Selection Show. Also, in these same games, these first-round games and second-round games being played in Knoxville, Marquette and Texas in a 9-8 matchup. A Big 12 at-large bid.
Playing the NCAA tournament, there's no better feeling than going out there and playing and giving your all every night. Right now, it means everything. One and done. Everything we accomplish in our whole season depends on one game at a time from here on out. And knowing that, I know I have complete confidence in my team that everybody's going to come together.
From the coaches, they've coached the NCAAs before, so, you know, we know as a team that we have to take it up another level, and we're just going to go into this. This is like a whole new season for us, you know, 0-0, and, you know, just focus on, you know, getting that win against Texas.
With having a team that hasn't been in the tournament before, they have to understand that it's all new to everybody. I mean, these are teams we haven't faced before. They don't know us, we don't know them, and nobody cares about your record at this point. So we just got to be ready to play. I think number one, they need to enjoy it. I mean, it's a great experience, and you know what I've told them, it's fun, they've earned it, but at the same time, they need to remain as focused as they have all season, because what makes it even more fun is when you win games in the tournament. We'll start to get to know a little bit about the team tonight. And, you know, tomorrow we'll probably still be more focused on ourselves and what we need to do. And then as we progress in the week, we'll get more focused on Texas.
Just going out this way, my class, you know, us 5 seniors, we've been waiting for this for 4 years. And just the opportunity to finally go and, you know, get an 8 seed, like, it feels amazing. You know, we've already played some of the toughest competition in the nation, you know, being in the Big East.
10 teams from the Big East and 11 from the men. I mean, you know, our conferences are just deep, and, you know, anybody can win on any given night, so you can't take a day off ever.
I think just going in, we just have to keep that focus that we've had and keep that hunger that we've always had. You know, just talking to the younger ones and letting them know, like, how important this is, and I think we're ready.
One quality I realized when I spoke to all 3 of the ladies along with Kara was the word focus. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I asked them all, is there a change in focus from what you had regular season to the NCAA tournament? How do you react to that?
Well, you have to have tremendous focus because you have one team and that's it. You can't jump ahead of yourself and say, well, if we win, that's for the coaches to do. That's our responsibility. But you have to stay very much in the present, and you have one team you're looking at, and you can't get ahead of yourself, and you can't think, oh, this is just run in the mill. This is it. If you lose, you're done. And so I think you have tremendous focus, and it's something that just I've talked about it, but you can feel it. Because you know everyone says, hey, Texas, and you're just like they're talking about Marquette. I mean, I heard an interview where she said they're practicing twice a day, and all that. And you know, we're doing our parts because you know there's no tomorrow if you don't win. So it's pretty fun.
Now, talking about preparation, I know before you just figure out who you're playing against, you're just practicing getting to know yourself, trying to improve your skills. But now you know your opponent's Texas. Mm-hmm. You have 3 days tops to prepare. What's the process for folks that don't know? How do you get their film? How do you get information on them? We've
already had a bunch of film. We film games from the beginning, not me. Our great guys that do all of our film, Justin and our GAs, Brian, they have it all, but basically Justin. And we are filmed. So as soon as we saw Texas, I had 4 films already from taping. And you're allowed to ask your opponent for 1 or 2 films. It's just an even exchange. But, I mean, nowadays, TV, you already have it. You get the stats. We had all week, so you look at that, you're making sure your conditioning is intact, you're doing a lot of shooting. So for us, the one day, we all out practiced on Monday. The Tuesday is shooting, a defensive concept, shooting, defensive concept. You want to stay fresh, but they have all day, so you want to watch film. We watch 2 game films, and then on Wednesday, it's you're kind of overall. And then Thursday, Friday, very specific. And you're traveling. Yeah, and you're traveling stuff. So we'll get 2 days of practice at home before we travel. I'm a big proponent about staying home in the routine where we know everything and then going. And even though we play Saturday, we'll go Thursday night, but our practices will be done. Our film work will be done. And then we can have our regular game day prep on Friday. Okay, well, we wish you all the best of luck and hope you're dancing well into next week. I would love to be dancing, but it's good to have those shoes on again. For Terri Mitchell, I'm Karita Jones of Guam. You've been watching The Terri Mitchell Show.